Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is OctoMan, and today I'm going to continue the prototype of Missile command, in this case in 3D, which I want to hopefully finish today. So, meaning the next 1 or 2 hours, I'm going to try to complete everything necessary to be a, let's say, full running a prototype over here. There are some things I just left over in the last video or in the last live stream. And once this prototype is going to be finished, I'm gonna put this down on my website so people can purchase that. So if you don't like to invest too much time into creating such a prototype, then you are absolutely free to purchase that on my website. Later on, I'm gonna put the link down below into the comments and the descriptions and so on and so forth. So now I need to just back up and see where did I left actually, where did I stopped to working on this prototype and what's actually necessary or what's left. There are a bunch of things I need to take in consideration. So I believe one of the issues have been like, we need to make sure that the game becomes harder over time. Whenever a necessary level is going to reach, we're going to increase let's say bullet amount or something like that, or we just do something like unlimited until all the buildings are literally destroyed. And there's this rebuildability. So we got this 4 skills in total. One is going to be like shooting like a rocket speed, then one was explosion scale, I guess. Let's take a look into them. And we got the reload speed, so we can shoot faster with the higher level we're gonna purchase in the upgrades. And we finally got, this rebuildability. So for this rebuild, basically what I can do is I can, simply put in some kind of a, let's say, elevator-ish effect. Like with particles as an example, and then just let them flow up until a certain amount of time. Like let's assume rebuilding a building maybe takes 1 minute at the very beginning, and the higher we go, the higher we go in time or in level, the rebuild is going to be reduced. So we rebuild faster. Let's assume rebuilding a building, once again, takes a minute at the beginning, and then we reduce it down to, let's say, 20 seconds or something. And then we need to just fiddle out a calculation again by this upgrade to measure the actual time needed per or reduced by upgrade over using some kind of a multiplier or something, even if not 1% necessary, but that is the actual goal over here. So I believe the rebuild is the one I'm going to tackle first. Then I need to go and do the actual leveling up system. Like whenever we are done with the level, for whatever reason, then we're gonna go forward. So probably it's better to unlimited create, let's say, unlimited create bullets later on, or whatever that are, like these missiles which are falling down to destroy all the buildings on screen. So we're going to have a more like skill-based something. Oh, there's one more thing we also need to tackle is the calculation from score to coin to actually get enough coins later on to purchase inside the score. So this is the final, these are the final 3 things I believe we're gonna have to tackle over here. So let's get into that. First one, I need a particle. A particle can be just a square or can be anything. I could also reuse literally the one which I'm using for aiming, which is not a particle, it's just a simple sprite which is like this crosshair thing over here. And maybe I'm gonna just reuse that. I could even use a cross, but we barely see this probably. So when I create such a particle system, I want to make sure that it is connected to each of them objects. We can enable and disable that depending on if something has been destroyed or not. And so we're going to make a prefab, and whenever we do a change on that, we can absolutely go for stuff like this, just show or hide the particle depending on if the actual object is alive or not. To do so, I first of all go and create a new empty game object. I can use something, or sometimes I use naming conventions like FX for any kind of an effect. You can also name it VFX for visual effect or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be my rebuild, FX rebuild. So this is just an empty object somewhere on screen. I'm going to reset this one to be 0. And I go out of this 2D mode over here so I can see where this position of that thing is. So we can see it's on X Y, Z on the world coordinate, which is okay. And my actual game field is somewhere here. So I need to make sure that later on this is going to be somewhere at the bottom over there. Then I need to create a material for that, as well as I need a particle system directly on this FX rebuild. So let's start with that. I'm going to go and create a new FX particle system. And so this particle system doesn't look like as I want this to be. I first off want to make sure that it's flowing upwards and not on the actual Z-axis of the object. So what I can do is I can hold control and, rotate it by 90. So it flows up. Let's see if that is correct. We can always test with a W, like with the move tool, and see whenever we got the actual local view over here. In the newer Unity versions, this local is going to be somewhere here on this field and doesn't named local, so you need to switch through or check through over there, but nothing fancy at all. So now I need a crosshair material or something like for this rebuild as being my material. So I can go, let's say, directly in textures. Since currently I don't use any kind of a material, I'm probably gonna create, just in case, to keep stuff really clean and correct, gonna make a materials folder. So in that materials folder, I just create a new material. And I'm gonna name this one rebuild effect or rebuild material, basically. So what I want is, this is going to be not a standard material. This one is going to be a mobile particle effect. So mobile particles. And in here, I'm gonna go for alpha blended. And in here, I can now select the texture I want. In my case, I'm gonna take the crosshair over there. On the particle system itself, I just need to drag this in here, and so we see a bunch of them crosshairs going up. But this is not the effect I want. I want the effect to be that these particles are going to be flat on the ground. So I need to go to the render component and make it not billboard, but I believe it's horizontal billboard, like that. And now I want to go and not just like randomly do weird stuff over there. I want to go that they're going straight up. So for the straight up, I go to emission and get rid of the, actually to shape, I guess, and get rid of this shape. I could even deactivate this. So it's going to be like a streamline over there. Now I want to reduce or increase the particle size, so it's literally fitting my object over here. So I go to start size and just increase it as long as I think this is going to be pretty good. Okay, looks good so far, I guess. Now the next thing I want to do here is I want to reduce the lifetime, so it's only like over here, and the speed as well. So first off, I'm going to reduce the speed until they are kind of smudged together. Let's see. That's a bit too small or too slow. Oh, it's a negative speed, actually. But maybe something like, let's see, 0.41 maybe. I just need to wait until this is a full size over here. Since I want to do a bit more things on that. So that doesn't look too shabby, I guess. And I can tint this to be green or blue or whatever. And I can even use later on any effects on that. Once again, this is totally up to somebody who's going to work with stuff like that. So I could also go in and reduce the lifetime to, let's say, maybe 3 or something. Maybe, so it is getting reduced here a bit. Maybe gonna go in a little bit higher in the start speed. So that's totally fine. So they can be a bit of, outside of each other, like spread apart. But what I now want to do is I want to go and tint this thing, color over lifetime, go here, and over there, I want to make it so that it's blending out. So I go to this alpha value over here, which is this flag, and reduce alpha to 0. So it's like looking like a streamlining something going up over here. Again, if I want to, I could say, I'm gonna make just this just one any kind of color. I could even get rid of this one and just say, okay, I want this to be, I don't know, bluish or greenish, then I can do so. And so that would be my rebuild, effect over there. So once again, any kind of object or any kind of material could be used at this point. If that is probably, maybe I want to make the distance between them a bit higher. So it's more visible. And so I'm gonna go for maybe a higher speed. I just want to see how this looks. I can reduce the lifetime to be 1 at first and see if that maybe is a bit more as I want. Could go for a bit slower. I know, a bit faster in starting speed, maybe 0.5. Just need to test things out and see how they look on screen later on. Oh yeah, that doesn't look too shabby. So when I'm done with that, I make a prefab out of it because I might go and change things. So I go to prefabs over here. And if you have any kind of special effects and so on, you can always go and create a new folder for that and just say FX. And then you're going to put in all your particle and so on. Then I just put this rebuild over there in this particle effect. That's it. And now each of them buildings, I want, as well as this defender objects, I want them to have all that rebuild thing, this rebuild particle effect. So whenever some building is destroyed, it gets the possibility to become rebuilded. And so we can visualize that at any time by just enabling and disabling this object. But then we got another issue over there. It is like we might only want to rebuild one of them, not all of them at the same time, but maybe only one at a time. So, but that is going to be something everybody has to decide on its own. So basically, what is the real rebuildability over there? So I go to my environment where all my buildings are going to be inside. So I got them all. And now I can take this fx and make this part or child of this building over there. So if I would just go and zero this one out on X and Y, we're going to still have to put it down a bit on Z axis. So basically on the Y axis. So I just, drag it down over here. And until I find this sweet spot where I want this to happen whenever this rebuilding is going to happen. So basically this building would be literally just, disabled like that. Then we only see this rebuild thing. We could also go and play with colors or make the mesh renderers material over here semi-transparent to see more rebuildability. But once again, these are things everybody has to do on his own and decide on his own. So now I can duplicate this and bring this to building 1. Just go over the X and that's it. Because the y-axis is going to, or the y position over there is going to stay the same for this. Gonna repeat this now for all the other buildings as well. So Control D, put this on building 2, reposition over X to be 0, Control D, reposition, and so on and so forth. Gonna do the same later on again also on the defenders, because these are these can be rebuilt as well. Control D, drag over, copy, paste. So and now these 3 defenders. If you want to, you can of course always go into the defender buildings and make, for example, make the size of this effect a bit bigger. Again, you don't see the objects later on. Meanwhile, they are going to rebuild over here. Easier way would be not just having all the buildings on their own, but also creating a prefab out of it. So it's just a one-time scenario, literally. Same for the defenders. So we would not have to do anything else but just, copy paste the content over there. When you do a change on a prefab, it's going to become active on all the other ones as well. Okay, so, and if you don't like green, you make it purple or blue or whatsoever. So all of them can be done like literally directly inside the rebuild over here. Picking the particle system, you just need to double click the prefab, go in here and just switch to the color you prefer, or even switch the graphic you don't want to see over there. So, and this is basically the effect I want, meaning all the buildings now need to have a connection in their building script to these effects over here, so we can activate and deactivate this particular game object, which is this child object over here. So in that case, we need to open the building script and the defender, of course, as well, to make it so that we are actually able to put something inside. So in that case, whenever we call one of them buildings by, just looping through or something like that, or just telling, hey, this building has been destroyed, tell the building to show don't show, and maybe start the rebuilding process, something like this. So what we want to do over here is, in the first place, making a serialized field, serialized, if it lets me, auto-complete it, which is of type GameObject, which is going to be our fx particle. So it doesn't matter what it is actually. And so at start, whenever we start the game and the building starts, as well as whenever we reset things, we want to activate and deactivate this content. So we need to do this also in the job later on. So we want to make sure that fx particle.setActive is equal to false. Typos, setActive, false. So we deactivate it on start, so we don't see this when the game starts, literally. Once again, we need to do this later when we reset this building over here. We also need to talk to the building and tell the building not just to unhide, but also to deactivate the fx particle fact over there. So we need a function which is going to perform that stuff for us. So I say public void activate. I just name it activate. I don't know, activate. Basically, it's deactivating, but activate particle or particles or rebuild. And basically, whenever it's getting destroyed, we can also call this. So we need to do something like a bool and say on. And basically, the fx particle system.setActivate over here is basically whatever on is. So if we send in a false, then we deactivate it. If we make it a true, then we do this as well. So, and basically, if we would at start calling this one, we could also say activate particles and pass in a false. So it's literally doing the same thing, but we have now one extra function which is going to handle all of that on its own. So I need to do the same thing now to the defender, because the defender also has a rebuildability over here. But as you can see, currently the defender has nothing. So we need to take this in consideration as well. But since the defender is a building, which is the fun fact over here, right? Because a defender inherits building, it can also activate this thing. So I don't need to do this for the defender as an extra. So both are doing the same thing. Both are going to be seen as a building, but the defender is something on its own. Like for, let's say, reloadability and stuff like that, or whatever. Which we might need to go and visualize as well, like how long it takes until the next shot is literally ready to shoot or to be shot. So, with that, I should be kind of ready. So I don't need to put this into defenders. I just need to now say, okay, whenever the building gets shot down, I may need to implement a timer. So like something like a void or start void, maybe not a public one, at least not for the moment. Void start timer. Yeah, maybe I could probably also directly do this in a coroutine. So we're gonna put a enumerator timer or time to rebuild. So, and there are some things that we need to take in consideration over here. If we are already rebuilding, then we don't want to rebuild again. If we are, for whatever reason, have something else, like this is already becoming activated while doing something like we are already in the shop and we still have, or the game is not running and so on and so forth, like we are in a pause screen and so on and so forth, then we might want to go back and, pause this time to rebuild something, whatever. So what I now can define is a rebuild time, which I can pass over into, into any of these as well. So literally you can always put a 0. So time to rebuild would be 0. But at the other hand, which we don't really need the time to rebuild thing, but we could still use it. So basically, after this time has run out, we first off need to wait. We need to wait until yield return new wait for seconds and whatever the amount of seconds we are passing over in here. So I just gonna pass in a float seconds. Oops, seconds, and I'm gonna pass over seconds in here. So we wait at first. Meanwhile, we wait, and this is running. We might not want to re-wait, but after we are actually done with all of this content, we might want to go and just say, okay, this one has to be definitely a true. So I don't go and pass this over back into the activate particles. But what I can pass in here, if I want to, is a seconds parameter. So also a float seconds. So why can I do, or what is the purpose of that? So I could now say if seconds is actually equal to 0 or higher than 0, I just call the time to rebuild and set it active to be true whenever necessary. If it is a 0, and if it is 0, I just instantly call whatever is popping up in here. So I can differentiate between multiple scenarios, let's say. So we can switch that by using a expression. So basically what we say, if gonna put this into parentheses so it's maybe easier to read. So if seconds is equal to 0, then we want to say, what do we want to say? We want to say we want to activate, gonna Control X. We want to set the particle effects to whatever on is. Otherwise, I want to go and start the coroutine for the time to rebuild. Time to rebuild, open close parentheses, and pass in seconds. So I don't need to do things twice or just need to do hundreds of requests. I believe so. If that is correct right now. There's no difference between void. Let's see what it does. Oh, maybe it can't. Maybe it can't call the coroutine over here. No implicit convert to void. Okay, then I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put in a if-else scenario. So if seconds is equal to 0, basically it will hate me for doing an equal 0. Usually because floats compared against a 0 is nothing what they like to see. Like the code don't want to see that. So probably I just missed the colon over or this. I don't know. Or actually the semicolon. Anyway, let's do it this way. I'm gonna put that. We need to close here and put an else over there. Again, this basically I would use a coroutine, well, an expression if possible. But it doesn't matter. Both ways should work, kind of. But the other way just didn't. So in here, whenever we're gonna call all out of start the activate particles, we need to set the seconds to be 0. So it instantly does whatever it should do. So it reduces this to 0, and that's it. So we just call this. We don't start the time to rebuild in seconds over here. The good thing about that now is we can, from Game Manager as an example, after a game or from anywhere, we should be able to call the building we have destroyed and say, hey, activate your particles to rebuild the building. And we can also just decide what is going to be the actual rebuild time we need for this building to be rebuilded. So if it is a defender building, as an example, we could also use a different time, I guess. We just need to know what the current type is. But that's going to happen on the onDraw gizmo. No, not on the onDraw gizmos, but on the onTrigger enter function probably, like whenever the rocket hits the building. So we got this one running. We can rebuild this. Now we can just connect all of them objects. I'm kind of teased to, since that is a repetitive thing, that I would go for all of them buildings and make prefabs out of them as well. So why? Because I don't want to do everything twice. I just want to see the distance between the objects over here to not overdo it in either direction. It's 4.23. I believe it doesn't matter. I don't know how I just placed them. So to do so, I'm gonna go and drag the FX building over here at the very first place, and now I drag building here inside. Now I got a building including all the options and all the things. So if I want to, I can tint this building to see which one is an old one and which one is a not old one or something. But I just hit Control D and drag it. Okay. I dragged it over using Control key. So I can get rid of these and say I'm gonna place, hopefully, at the correct spot here. Looks uneven, so probably this one needs to be one to the right. And so these two, which are blue ones right now, these are going to be these two buildings over here are now going to be on their own. Well, it doesn't let me. I'm gonna undo that. It just made it so that it grouped it over there. Also, there seems to be some kind of an uneven spot in between those. And this defender is kind of off screen, so probably it's not a bad idea to just, first of all, I duplicate this and bring this like here instead of there. And so gonna put, this one looks a bit more even right now. Even I might go and fix the camera. But once again, there are a bunch of things you can do as well, like whenever you have to fix the camera, put it back a bit or rotate it and so on and so forth. Or maybe a bit more to the left, a bit more to the right, depending on what you want to see at this point. So this one building over here, it needs to be replaced. So I'm gonna take this newly created one and put it over there. Gonna do the same thing, Control D, put it over there. And now every building which got a black name, I just need to select and destroy or delete. So same for defenders. I'm gonna make this defender over here. I'm gonna make this a, first off, I connect the FX rebuild over there. Make defender 1 a prefab. And usually I should be able to just rename this here as well. So it doesn't really like that. So I'm gonna do this again. And now I duplicate this defender and put this one over here, duplicate again and put this over here. And all the black defenders have to go. So now I have all of them as being prefabs. And the next thing I want to do is I need to reconnect them to my game manager. So the game manager doesn't know everything about them updates because, well, all the buildings and all the defenders are now missing objects, literally. So best thing is I'm gonna go and delete all the buildings over here as well as all the defenders. So I just empty out them lists. I lock the selection, take all defenders and put them into the all defenders list. Now I take all buildings, including the defenders, and put them into all buildings list. That's it. Now I can go and unhook that or unlock that thing again. And once again, if I don't like the camera as is at the moment, because maybe this defender is a bit off screen, then I go just a bit more to the center, a bit more back, and I should be still good to go. I'm gonna save the scene since I have done quite some changes over here. And so whenever we now start, all the buildings should not show their actual rebuild effect, because it gets deactivated on start. And now we just need to write a small function which does automatically create the rebuildability, and we need to fiddle out a timer. And so, and then we just need to call activate particles or activate rebuild or whatever to do the thing after, once it has been started to get this one running. There's one more thing which I want to do is I don't want to activate this particle at this point. I want to do this directly, I guess, because the rebuild, whenever we start this, the rebuild should make the game objects active again. So the question now is the building actually accessible? because the building heights, that's an issue. I need to make a different setup. I cannot make the building part. I cannot make the building part, or the particle system cannot be part of the building. I mean, it has to, but I need to do a different setup for this. So the building is already this graphic, let's say. And when I deactivate the graphic, or basically the building which contains also the particle effect, when I deactivate it, I deactivate the visibility, then this building itself is, well, inactive. So I cannot really activate the particle effect. So what I need to do is I need to split things up into two pieces, literally. So the first one is I just want to deactivate the graphic and not the complete building. So the building script still needs to be kind of accessible, but the graphic is the one I want to deactivate. So literally like disabling and enabling the mesh render component just as an example. So, but I don't want to use that mesh render component. I mean, why not? I just need to have something which knows about the state of the building. So instead of deactivating the building, I might go and just deactivate the actual mesh render component. Interesting. But also there's another issue with the box collider. So it would trigger stuff multiple times when multiple rockets are going to hit inside. So this is the thing we just need to fiddle out right now to make it really 100% working. Otherwise, once again, the particle system would not show up. So how would we do this? Well, basically the easiest one is we have a main object, like an empty game object, which is containing all the necessary content. Then we hook up the actual graphic to it, and whenever we deactivate the graphic, then we want to make sure that when this graphic is deactivated, the rockets are not going to follow this defender. Because beforehand, code-wise, I was just talking to the building script and see if this object, the complete object, is deactivated in hierarchy, which I don't want, obviously. So now I need to split away everything from basically just the graphic itself. So I need to have something. Let me create another cube, another 3D object cube. Let me name this one graphic. So we got both things over there. I'm gonna be able to replace that graphic. It has the same things because of the scale over there. So what I would take away from here is actually I would remove the cube mesh filter and the mesh renderer, so we don't see this one. So we only have one graphic left. And this building over here, I need to remove you. This building only will have the rigid body, still the box collider. I'm gonna have to check the size and stuff in a moment. And the building script, of course, as well as the rigid body. So these three are the only elements. Of course, we need the transform component. So what I now can do also, I can let's say rearrange that building in its height. Since it is part of environment, and environment is literally like, this is the center line of that environment, I could go down or up based on, the environment itself. So when I drag this down, everything is going to follow, which is correct in the way it is, at least for the moment. Since this one is zeroed out, so 0, 0, 0 in our world space, we could lift up everything on 0 or bring down back to 0. So if I just say, okay, I'll lift this one up onto 0, so the actual building object is going to be, let me deactivate this two things for the moment. I only have this object here. And if I would go and get rid of the scale at this point to 1, 1, 1, or what did I scale it to? That's funny. Let me take 1.5. 1.5. So it's more like a a square from top to bottom. But yeah, this is basically what I want. So the graphic is literally following the same rules. But what I can do is I can push that QB, like the box collider, up, since currently it's just fitting that. So probably I don't lift the building itself. I just keep it where it is. Why not? Doesn't do anything. I mean, usually you would just do the opposite, right? Usually you would just say you put the graphic on the ground or at 0 or something, and then the building needs to be lifted up as well at this point. Okay, so doesn't matter. Now I have the FX rebuilt, and I have the graphic. Whatever the graphic is, later on can be any 3D model, stuff like that. It just has to be set up so that it is sitting on the ground, like that. And it has, once again, the box collider, which could or could not, basically doesn't have to be a trigger. The graphic basically does not need the box collider, so I remove it. We just need the mesh renderer component because the building itself has the box collider and rigid body stuff on its own. Now I'm gonna go and override this to be applied to all of my graphics, or actually all of the buildings at least. So all of them are sharing the same thing, the same setting. Now I can go by script and change something inside the building to be based on the graphic and deactivating the graphic when not necessary. And I could even go the same and do the same thing with the box collider at this point, so we don't get any issues with that. So we need a graphic. Could be anything, any model, any 2D image, anything, any sprite. And so whenever we get hit, we want to deactivate. Yeah, we want to deactivate the actual graphic. And we activate it whenever the time to rebuild is done. Or when the shop is telling us. So, and this is because the shop can tell us the same thing. We might want to go and do something like, if we have a second over here, if we deactivate it over there, if that is 0 seconds, we're going to go to deactivate this effect because the seconds are going to be 0. Well, if it is becoming a true, we're going to go into the coroutine and we want to rebuild this thing. And after a couple of amount of time, we want to reactivate this thing. So we probably need to extend this method a bit. Or we just need to do an extra call, literally. So I'm gonna name this one Activate Graphic, just in case. Gonna pass in a bool, just in case. Bool on. Probably we don't need this. And what we want to do is basically the same thing as we do with the particle effect over there. Gonna copy this part. And over here we got our graphic and pass in set active to be on, whatever on is. And then here, whenever we are done with time to rebuild, we can say we want to activate the graphic and pass over, well, true, because we have rebuilt this one. So we don't need a timer or anything, but probably if that one here is equal to 0, which just means we deactivate that thing, we probably also want to set activate to be true, right? So we might want to go for and activate the graphic with true at this point. No idea, we need to test this. So, but probably only if that is going to be a true. So I might make a AND operator, and if on. So if it is an on, and there's 0 seconds, then we're going to do this. Otherwise, we pass over on over here and then activate the particle system. Yeah, probably we need to rebuild this a bit, since this is not 100% the way I want this to happen, I guess. Because if that is going to be, well, the question is the indicator 0 over here more than enough? Like this one as an example. Because in here it says just the when we are passing over a false, this false is not necessary for this point. So we basically want to do the opposite to the graphic probably. Like if we deactivate the actual particle effect, we activate the graphic. Probably that's enough. Okay, so time to rebuild. We're gonna activate the particle effect, wait for the seconds coming in, and then we deactivate or reactivate the actual graphic over there. And we want to deactivate, we want to set the particle effect to be false again if we are activating the graphic. So basically we're gonna do the opposite of on over here. So we just say not on. Should be pretty much okay for that, I guess. Probably we're gonna do the same thing here. Like if that is true, we're gonna put the graphics to be false if seconds is 0. So maybe we're gonna say also not on here. So we just flip that around this way, and same here. I don't know if that works, but we'll see when we are testing this. Now, when we want to, or when we hit a building, first we need to take a look into the Defender and update the prefab as well. So to get the graphic setting and stuff like that to be 100% correct at this point as well. So in that case, I would just go and create a UI. No, a 3D object, another sphere. We're gonna be here, which is going to be, this is going to be also the graphic of the building, of the Defender, whatever. And in here, I need to get rid of the actual mesh render component, the actual mesh filter. So I only have a circulator, Defender, a rigid body. And now I need to hook up the actual graphic here, like this. And the graphic itself does not need a circulator, so I'm gonna remove it. And so we just have the rendering component. And now I update that to be connected to all of them. So all the other ones, is the good thing about prefabs, which are acting literally like templates. So every of them other Defenders now have a graphic connected to it. And so we can deactivate and enable, or deactivate and reactivate the graphic itself by getting hit from a shot, from a rocket. So, and now, where do we do this? Who's going to trigger if a rocket is going to hit the building? I believe it's going to happen directly in the building itself. So if the building gets hit by an enemy, there we go. We can instantly go and do the same thing. So instead of deactivating the game object, we are going to deactivate the graphic. So we say graphic.setActive to be false. But and of course we destroy the rocket, right? But the thing is, we could now use the activate particles if we got some kind of a rebuild time from somewhere. So for example, we can store the rebuild time in the game manager and read it from there, and just like take from the game manager, we take the information about the rebuild time. So from these upgrades we just created in the last video. So basically for the buildings over here, I'm gonna put another serialized field of type float, which is going to be the rebuild timer or time. So since we want to upgrade this one, we later on need a function to upgrade the rebuild time accordingly, like we did with the shoot delay, the delay multiplier, as well as the current shoot delay. And so we're gonna literally have the same thing over here. We have something like a current rebuild time, which we are just going to start with. Then we need to have another serialized field, also of type float, to be the rebuild multiplier, build multiplier, which we need to just set by hand or by some number. We can go over and do a calculation in a second. This time I don't gonna go over and use some kind of an interface thingy to like this Desmos file or the Desmos thing as I used before. So probably we can do some simple calculation over here. So to reduce the rebuild time over 10 levels or whatever the level amount is going to be, I might come up with something similar like that. So we need we have a current rebuild time, we have a rebuild multiplier, and we need something like a base rebuild time, which we are starting from base rebuild time. So the base rebuild time, we can say this is going to be like 60 seconds as an example. So I'm going to pass in a 60. If you want to, you can put an F. So 60 seconds it's going to take before we are actually able to do that thing. I just don't know if we're going to go for current shoot delay is going to be pre-calculated at start here as well, so might be good to set the base or the calculation, or wait, yeah, maybe we're gonna use the current shoot delay and recalculate this every now and then, like every time we are going to upgrade this as well as on the start if needed. So the rebuild multiplier, if the smallest number, like when we start with 60 seconds and maybe the smallest amount is going to be like let's say 10, then I need to just divide this thing by 10, and I should know something like that. So per level, I might go and just don't have this one as being a multiplier, but something like I want to negate it by a fixed number, for example. So 0.6 or something. Why isn't that point? And enough. So let's see what that means. In total, I want to reduce 50. Like when I start with 60 over here, and I want to reduce over 10 levels, I want to reduce by in total of 50. So the last or the best reload or rebuild time is probably 10 seconds on level 10, the maximum level. We might need to go and use that as being our base number. So we need to literally divide that by 5, I guess. So 0,5, or actually 0,05 times 10 is, well, 0.5, which is probably wrong. So we need to go with 0.5 over here, I guess. So again, if we have 0.5 and multiply that by 10, then we are going to get a 5. So maybe the multiplier, which is not really a multiplier, but a negator, we need to say we want to take 60 minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5. We want to do this 10 times. And so we're going to land, somewhere at, well, was 1 too much? We should land at 10 later on. So minus 5 equals 10. So in total, per level, I'm gonna reduce maybe the rebuild time by 5 seconds. We could also use 3 seconds. So basically, it's not really a rebuild multiplier, but let's say a reduction something. Again, we can go fancy with all these results and stuff, up to us, literally. So how do we multiply that? Basically, we're gonna say current level multiplied by 5 and negate the base rebuild time by the result of current level times this number. And so we're gonna get, like, if the level is going to be 0, we're gonna negate here 0 literally. If we now go down over here and take a look into the other upgrades, it's literally the same thing. So I'm gonna create a new one, which is going to pass ourselves back the upgrade about the how shall I say, about the current scenario. So we need a float, and this one is a public one because it's called from the rocket itself whenever it's getting created. So that's why this one is public. But the other one, like this rebuild time, does only get information from the shop system, as the calculate shoot delay just takes from the wallet, reads the level of whichever item and multiply that by the delay times the level, like this, and then the rest is just we negate the content. I just copy this one because it looks correct. So I want to calculate the rebuild time over here. So later on we just need to return this number or send this number. Well, no, we just need to grab the number from the outside, from the building. So probably we need to make this one a public float. No, we don't. I don't know. We'll see. So we calculate the rebuild time. So R is going to be what? What is the item we are looking for? In shop system, we should see rebuild is over here, and it has the ID of 2. So we need to request what is the ID of 2, and then we're gonna have here the actual rebuild multiplier. We multiply that, like currently it's 5, so 5 times whatever the level is, and now we take the current rebuild. Oh no, what is it? Is it current rebuild? No, the current rebuild is the one we want to set. The actual base rebuild time negated by what? Literally, we just want to negate it by R. So base build time minus R. R is going to once again be just the whatever, and just a number of like between 10 or actually 0 and 50, and we just reduce base build time by R, by this 50 at the maximum, because of this level of maximum of 10, or whatever it is later on. So when we now want to go for and calculate the rebuild time, we just need to return it. So somebody who needs to know this information. And since we don't have a public accessor for current rebuild time, because we don't want anybody to touch that thing, we're just going to have to say over here first, at least, current build time is going to be equal to, we want to calculate the rebuild time, of course, like so. Now we need to have an access point to get this information from. And there are multiple things we can take in consideration. Probably we should do this calculation be a free one, so being a public one. And so in that case, we don't need to use this current build time thing over there, because we read it directly. So we don't need to store it anywhere. I just get rid of that thing. I guess that's easier to handle. So this is called from each building. So otherwise, it is not able to read that thing. I'm gonna have to make a small break. I'm back in a moment. So let's go continue. I'm sorry for the small delay over here. Hi Zero, thanks for tuning in. Whatever you're typing there, I don't get it. So I'm gonna check out later what that means. So what do we need is now we need to call the calculate rebuild timer inside the building whenever necessary, like whenever we get this information or we need this information. So the best thing is whenever we actually get rid of the graphic over here, we just need to, we want to go for and call the time to rebuild thing. So meaning whenever we are going to start the time rebuild stuff, we want to know how high the seconds are. And so we need to read them before we actually start the coroutine. So what we can do is we can call our activate particles in here. So I'm going to comment this thing out, at least for the moment, and say I want to activate the graphic. Literally, what I don't want is, I actually don't want to activate the graphic. I want to actually activate the particles or deactivate the builder, right? Let me rename this to be activate. Can I just rename this? Somewhere like here. Activate rebuild. So all the functions which are doing the same thing are going to, you know, call the same thing. So I want to activate the rebuild here. Now I need to pass in all the necessary parameters. So first thing is, literally I want to set a false over here, but I don't think that is going to be anyhow being interesting. But what we want to pass over now is the game manager instance dot calculate rebuild time. So we want to know how long does it now take to rebuild. We want to start that and take this information from the game manager now, pass that over into the function, go through, check, start the coroutine. The coroutine now knows these seconds because we got them directly from the game manager. We activate the FX particle system. We wait for the seconds amount, and after that we activate the graphic. So, and meanwhile we activate the graphic and we say true, we deactivate the particle systems as well. So it's like a set of functions one after another. And of course, we still want to destroy at least for the moment, we don't want to destroy the missiles. If we want to, we can also pull them, like object pulling. But, well, it doesn't matter actually, I guess. I mean, it's something which is happening for the garbage collection and stuff like that, and you can optimize that at any time. But I don't see a point, at least for the moment, to do this. Yeah. So, what else? Let's test this. I mean, this is basically, this is what we are going to do here. Like, whenever now a building is going to collapse or going to get destroyed, just the graphic gets deactivated. Oh, there's one more thing. Inside the game manager, whenever we literally probably also inside the, or only inside the start. What we want to do is we want to activate the building a graphic literally whenever we are looping through that and say, hey, we are done with the shop, all the active or the game object or all the buildings have to be activated at this point. So what we can do is, if we pass over a false, then we do the opposite to activate graphic. So, and we send in a 0. Okay, that might not be really obvious, but, well, in here, where do we deactivate the actual buildings or reactivate them? Oh, we do this here in the actual closed shop in the for each loop. So instead of setting them active because they are maybe not active in hierarchy, which is another thing we need to take into consideration when we are, you know, spawning the rockets. Maybe that doesn't make any difference, but instead of just activating them, we just want to say item.activate rebuild. And in this, we can now say, yeah, what do we want to do? But basically, we want to do the opposite of what I told it to do. If seconds is 0, I don't want to activate this, but I want to activate the graphic, I guess. So now it's more obvious. So we do the opposite. So in this for each loop, I'm gonna say true. I want to activate all the buildings and send it in 0 seconds. So it doesn't care about anything else, and it doesn't do the coroutine content. Let's try. So we might have the rebuild complete now. Maybe there's an issue, we'll see. So whenever the game starts, all of the rebuild icons should be deactivated, but they're not. As you can see, the defenders are deactivated on their own. So why is that? Graphic, affix rebuild, unassigned reference exception. Oh, there's the graphic missing. As in all the other ones. So the graphic is going to be this one. I'm gonna do an override. Hopefully all of them got it. Looks like it. And let's try again. If they all now deactivate, then I need to do the opposite, of course. Okay, all the graphics are deactivated. So I have, whenever the game starts inside the building, I need to pass over a true. So I want to make sure I send true and 0. 0 as being the second, so not going to do the rebuildability over here. So let's see. Looks good. Let's start a round and let's get some destroyed and see how long it takes for them to be rebuilt. I just wait. I don't want to shoot too much over here because I want to see how long this really takes over there. Now this got activated, but the building graphic is not like hidden. So these two literally have been hit. So this is working. But the graphic did not got deactivated. So instead of calling activate graphic of on, because it's literally doing the opposite, we just want to make sure that, well, who's calling that? I believe we're gonna need to do the thing here, but in here we're gonna pass in a false. I believe that's the issue which I got. So gonna take a second here to the compiler. Gonna restart that, ignoring all of that stuff because it's because of runtime content. Gonna wait now and see if it now works better. Let, I don't know, any object being destroyed and see if the graphic gets deactivated. So the actual rebuilder starts. The rebuilder hopefully does not restart a second time over here, which I just don't know. So probably there needs to be some extra check at this point. So I'm gonna wait now until 60 seconds are gone, so I see that the rebuilder or rebuild time is actually reactivating this object because, well, all of them are just destroyed, right? The downside is I don't really see how long it still takes now until this building is going to become reactivated. But it seems that this is not working. I might go, oh, there we go, it works. I don't know if that was really 1 minute now, but all the other ones are going to do the same thing. So it looks like it works. So this one should be the last. Maybe one of these are going to pop next. There we go. There we go. This one is the last one, which got pretty heavy, hardly or rather rarely got hit. Okay, I want to do a second run, and this time I want to make sure that when I enter or actually exit the shop, whenever I close the shop, that all the buildings, no matter how long the rebuildability has been, that I'm gonna activate that building, but I need to do, I believe, one thing. I need to deactivate all the coroutines running on the buildings. So what does it mean is, first off, I can, help it a bit here and there. Doesn't matter at all. Just want to survive one round, even if not, doesn't matter at all as well. We still get some drops over here over the rockets, which is okay. And now when I start the next round, all the buildings now should be in the correct way, but there are still these coroutines running. And we don't see this, but we know that it is running because we didn't stop the time to rebuild, actually. So what does it mean is, just in case, we can say whenever we activate back the graphic, which we are doing from Game Manager's shop by, going through the actual content, like here when we say activate rebuild, what we do is over here we set the activate graphic to be on, and same to the FX particles. Or basically we could even go and get rid of this one, I guess, because in here in the activate graphic we switch them on and off anyway, so this is obsolete at this point. So whenever I do activate on, I could make a small test. So basically, if on, we can say we want to stop all coroutines. Stop all coroutines. So meaning the current running coroutine is going to not run anymore, just in case. If there is one running, we deactivate it. So the time to rebuild gets deactivated when we activate the graphic to be on. Even if there's none running, it shouldn't fire any issue. But that's how it should be now. So everything is good. No coroutines should run. Well, hopefully. Now I'm gonna wait again and see if all of that stuff matches. If I get some deactivated objects, there we go. There's at least one deactivated object. So this is already starting to rebuild. If the round goes longer than an X amount of time, then of course it's going to keep on going over there. Sorry. And now when I start here, all of that should be gone, and the coroutines should have been stopped as well. There's no issue on that. Pretty good. Now I can get rid of this debug line, which is just giving me the goal scale over here. I don't need this anymore inside the explosion. Okay, so building and rebuilding should work now. Next is when we go and reduce by upgrading. We wanna purchase that object or that thing, but I believe the purchase in itself is going to work already, so I don't need to touch that inside the shop system again, because the purchase of the item is still all running and or actually all up and running over here, because we are requesting just any kind of an ID and doing all the same thing over and over again. So shop system literally is done. The rebuild now is also done. The game manager now calculates all of that whenever necessary, because it stores the information about it and can just read it whenever necessary, and the building can do this as well. So next thing is what is going to be the next thing? I just need to remember. So these defenders are working, the buildings are working, the rebuild is working, all the upgrades should work. The next one is going to be score. Converting score to coins whenever the round is done. I was starting to implement this already. Like whenever the round has ended and I activate the shop panel, I want to get the coins. So basically inside a round has ended. So we can send money to the wallet, and we don't need to calculate any of them now, at least not for the moment. I'm gonna save that just in case. So we got score and we got coins, and we got this use coins, add coins, and I have add score. So we just add score and show it in the UI. And then here, when we want to convert the score, we want to maybe say something like coins plus equal modulo 10. So the division of score by 10 is going to give us an X amount of money. So I try modulo 10. I believe that should be correct. And so once that happened, we update this. And when the round has been ended, we want to just do this. And then we want to reset the rest of the score. So I don't keep score constantly up and running over there. So I don't update score or always negate it by something. I just take score over here and then just reset score to be, 0 again and update the UI. So, which I gonna do after I did the calculation for that. So I'm gonna reset score to be equal to 0. So each round gets its own score. And then I update the score UI and the coins UI. And then here, when the round has been ended, I want to call this function. So I want to convert now score to coins. And so we get coins. And when we have this one converted, like now we got the coins here, there is an issue. We need to send the coins now to the wallet, because whenever we spend coins, we wanna put this into the wallet. So in this case, we should be able to talk to the shop system dot instance dot my wallet dot add coins. And now we need to pass in how much we need or want. In this case, it's, well, whatever coins is. And the fun part is, or fun fact, is now we can also reset coins again. But the question is now, what are the actual coins, or what is the actual update coins UI actually doing? So I need to go pretty quick to the UI manager and see what I want to update in there and how I update this. So basically, it's just telling us, hey, this is the amount of coins we want to show. But the downside again on this one is we may want to read the coins from the actual wallet. So score doesn't matter, but coins does matter. So in here we want to say shop system dot instance dot my wallet dot read coins. And here we want to just get the coins and of course do the same thing and update this accordingly. So we can reset coins over there. We don't need to take the coins from the text field because it doesn't make sense. But we're gonna see the coins inside the wallet. Whenever we play, we should see now whatever is inside the wallet when I just start the round. Let's see what the wallet currently has. So currently in the wallet, I have 443,070. So I want to reset my wallet first to be 0. So every game is going to start at 0. So we don't have anything. We haven't purchased any upgrades. And we just start. So we have no coins, no nothing. Everything is good to go. Coins can be literally also any size over here. And we want to see if we are able to convert some coins whenever we are able to do something. Oh, there's an issue. As we can tell, our defender is still able to shoot even if it is destroyed. So we need to fix that as well. Okay, now got, yeah, what did I got now? Wallet is still empty, so I didn't pass over any coins into the wallet. Why not? Because coins modulo score, probably this maybe does not do anything. We didn't upgrade anything accordingly. So maybe we should do not modulo. Maybe we should do divided by 10. So if we have 75 divided by 10, should be 7, and it should be rounded up or down. I don't know. Maybe we need to floor seal or something like that to up or down based on this. So we can say something like, I believe it's mass f dot seal, seal to int, which is going to be the smallest integer over here. I'm not quite sure if I need to use score as being a float, but we'll see. So maybe that makes more sense now, and so we might get something, because the actual counter would be like, we would need to loop through how many times we are actually able to get some coins. So let's try. So the rockets are flying rather slow. Again, I just need to fix the issue here. In the end, we should get now something like 7 or 8 coins. We got 10. Okay, so I had 100 points, and a score divided by 10, of course, is 10. So now I have 10 coins in the wallet. You can also see this over here. And now I can purchase any of them upgrades. For example, I can now say I want to get a reload upgrade. So wallet now is 0. We got level 1 an upgrade of reload and can now shoot faster. So now we can, but now since I purchased this one, after I purchased this one, the coins did not got updated, which is actually not what we want. So every time we wanna go and do something, we wanna update the coins UI by, this one is actually funny. We don't need to pass over the score for this, for the coins to show. Actually, this is obsolete. We just want to update this one like so, and score is just per round, and here we just need to get rid of that. I'm gonna copy this piece. There seems to be another issue in one of the other lines. Maybe it's somewhere here. Yep. And probably here. So when we use coins, we don't want to do this over here like that. We want to say, the question is, who's calling this? Now I need to go and find all references. Nobody is using the use coins function. Funny. So since we are buying this from the shop system, we wanna call the update from wherever. I don't know if these two, is this one here having anything? No. So these two coin ones are literally not doing anything. We are just converting and adding score, and we don't use or add coins at all. Like this one, because we want to make use of that from the wallet, of course. I save UI manager. And now I want to see where in the shop system, whenever we use something, we want to upgrade the UI manager as well to read, or actually to update accordingly. Like after we are doing the purchase, let's see, we read the coins, we read the price, we use the coins from the wallet, we update the UI, but the only thing we don't do is updating the upgrade manager. So UI manager dot instance dot whatever it's called dot update coins UI. I guess that should be the correct one. So time to test again. Press play. Start a new round and try to get some coins. And try to spend some, of course. So I have upgraded my reload time here a bit. So I can now shoot a bit faster. Hopefully fast enough to get at least some points. Not too shabby, so I should get now 15 coins. Should get 17 coins now. There we go, so got 17 coins. I can now use radius upgrade, and now it's upgrading to coins 007. So it means I just used 10, and so it shows me now the correct wallet amount, and now I can start the next round. Probably there's some slight mistake I made in the code, but that's where it is actually starting, I guess. Which is basically just something like I'm gonna reset coins and then I forgot to reset it back or something. Now I lose my destroyer, or my defender actually. Okay, lost it as well. So the next iteration I should now have, there we go, 7 plus 15 is equal to 22. I can now take a next one, like a speed or rebuild. Gonna use a speed one, and now I can start the next round. Pretty good, awesome. Works, and it shows everything correctly as it should. So next one is, if a defender is literally destroyed, it should not be able to shoot. So this is something which I need to tackle, because it doesn't make sense to have a defender being able to shoot. And so I just don't know where I just do it. So might go into Game Manager, into Try Shoot. So let's see. So I loop through all the defenders, and what do I do when I do this? So I don't want to have the smallest distance at the first place, but I want to see this check over here needs to be different. I need to tell all defenders dot, well, it's not the game object in hierarchy, but it's the actual the graphic on the actual defender over there. So, and since that is a serialized property or serialized field, I cannot directly touch that. But what I could say is I put a boolean in the defender or whatever, or in the building, and say this building is destroyed or not. Meanwhile, we are trying to rebuild. And so meanwhile, this actually, returns false, we can just continue and hop over that. Otherwise, we are unable to shoot. So, and this is basically what I should implement. Since that is going to be just a part of the defender, I might go and do this over here. So it has to be a public bool, I guess. Is destroyed. I don't know if I need this on the building at any time, but I don't think so. And there should be a possibility just to request if that is being destroyed by just going through the defenders and see if it is destroyed. But what we need to do is we need to catch the defender first. We are currently looping through. So in that case, we can just say all defenders dot dot is destroyed. If that is destroyed, we just go and continue, and now we just need to update the defender if it gets destroyed. So we need to tell the defender, hey, you are destroyed whenever you do so, right? So, but the defender has nothing, and in which we are able to set this one to be destroyed. But the building has the possibility, since that's the mom, the parent object of the defender, we can just pass over data to defender itself. We should be able to put in some information to be is destroyed to all the defenders. So this one here, the building itself, does not have this option. It's the only one who has that is the defender. And so I'm not quite sure if we need this at this point. Probably it's easier to go through building instead of through defender. So defender is just, you know, just a child, as I said. So if where do we need this? If we start, actually, basically what we do is we do it over here. So if if we need to start this coroutine over here, if we need to start this, then we need to say is destroyed. But as you can see, there's no possibility for me to activate or to go into this and, you know, call this function. So in that case, I can, I believe so, create something called a virtual, so public virtual void method. And I can say is destroyed. Oops. What the heck is destroyed? And we can basically just say is destroyed over here is equal to, well, yeah, to, well, what? And now I'm gonna pass in a bool here, on, and we say is equal to on, or to destroyed, something like true or false, right? Destroyed, copy, paste. Now each of the buildings should have the possibility to use an override void to override is destroyed and talk to it accordingly. So let's say is destroyed. Is it probably it's the opposite. Is destroyed. Let me test something. I believe I did it the wrong way. Now it tells me it can't do this. So I need to have something like a public override void is destroyed, bool destroyed, this one. So it's basically now listening to the building itself, and as we can tell now, it is now able to update this accordingly. Well, that's what I hope, right? So gonna need to save both, and this one is currently not available since it's not sitting on building, it's sitting on defender. But we can still now read, I believe so, from that. And instead of calling just base.destroy is destroyed, I might go over and I just make this one deactivated. But I now can call this virtual void, or at least this is destroyed one. And now I can say is destroyed is equal to destroyed, like so. So basically the opposite, I guess. So the defender now can listen to this function, and everybody who is listening to this function is going to get updated based on what is coming inside. So I believe when I say over here, when it is time to rebuild, I can say I want to say is destroyed and just open close parentheses and let's say true. And if it's not, gonna copy this, like when the time is done over here, I'm gonna pass over a false. And same thing here, when I activate this, and I don't, like if that is true, and the graphic is literally true, and so on, then the is destroyed is going to be the opposite, so it's not on, just in case. So I should be able now to request that from the actual game manager. So in here, I can, or should be able to, call is destroyed or is destroyed. So both should be activated. So I can request if it is destroyed, because it's going to be set from somewhere else. And literally, I'm not quite sure if that is possible to use the is destroyed Well, this is just doing it, so I guess I need to do this one. And if that is the case, I want to continue. Let's see if that works. So the building can destroy or set the option to the defender to be destroyed. Gonna clear the console, so don't confuse myself. Start the game and see what's happening. I still have 12 coins, which is correct over here from the coins in the wallet. So, and well, I can't shoot. Why? The defender actually over here is going to start with a false setting in the defender itself. That's why I cannot use that. So what does it mean on each of them defenders at the very start? Oh no, wait. It is correctly set over here. It's destroyed as false. So it's destroyed. It should be true, otherwise it should be not destroyed. So why in the world is that now? Let's see in game mode if this one gets destroyed by whatever reason. No, this one is true, or actually not true. So it's deactivated, so it should be able to shoot. So, but now I cannot shoot, and I don't know why. If I try to shoot a rocket right now, oh, actually I need to do the opposite over here. I needed to take away the exclamation mark because it was requesting if it is not destroyed, then I want to continue. So I want to skip over and not shoot. So now I want to do the opposite. So next round, let's see if I now can shoot. Well, let's hope. Looks good. So now I can shoot, can do things. I want to now see if I get one of my destroyer or one of my rockets being destroying one of my destroyers or my defenders actually. So this one would actually go for it. So if I now try to shoot from here, you can see now the defender is actually doing the defense, but this one didn't work. So now I'm literally back, like with the visuals, and I want to see if I can shoot this point with that, which has been deactivated beforehand. So now they are listening to the correct destroying event by using the virtual and the override void, actually. So because of this inheritance parameters. So if this rocket now destroys this defender, I cannot shoot to this position. But fun part is I cannot shoot from this as well. So why is that? We need to test this now and see what happens to the defender settings. This defender is correct. This defender is correct. And this one is also correct. So all the three are now not being destroyed anymore. But I want to see what's happening to the other defenders if they get hit by something. So, and why we can shoot when none of these are going to be destroyed at all. So this one here can still shoot. Can shoot these which are going to not aim for a defender. So gonna have to redo it and wait until a defender is going to be destroyed. So this one does not destroy a defender. This one doesn't do it either. So this one looks like it wants to go for a defender. This doesn't. Now if I want to shoot from here, I can't. And I want to know why. So who is going to be destroyed? This one here is destroyed. This is not destroyed. And this is also not destroyed. So why can't I now shoot? I mean, I should be able to. The question is now, where's my reload timer? To see if I'm able to shoot at least. So the first one is still off. the second one is off, and this one is on. So this one is a destroyed object. So question now, why can't I shoot if the first defender in the list is, you know, unable to shoot right now, even if there are still two more at least left. So it's probably not about the defender itself, but let's see how often do I get this called over here. Maybe there's another issue over there. So I'm gonna have to debug that. Debug.log defender. Maybe I can say defender. Now I need to know who is the current defender. So all defenders in square brackets I dot game object dot name, so I can see which one it is, plus is off. So when this is off, I should see this question, or I should see this debug line, and I should be able to see what's going on and why the other ones probably are going to trigger this off as well during the try to shoot over there, because it skips, it literally continues into the next iteration, but it shouldn't skip it totally. It should still go through all these objects. So this one is now deactivated, so we should see something. Now we can see the Defender 2 is off. So Defender 2 is this one. And it says, okay, that's true. That's correct. So if that is off, it skips over this one Defender, even if it shouldn't. Oh, it should. Yeah, it should skip at any time. That's right. So now the second one is also off. So this one here and the second one. So those two have been off. Sadly, the round has been over. So I need to go and do the same stuff again and see if I can anyhow trigger the first one to be off. So maybe the other ones just don't get a check at this point or something. Let's just hope one of these is going to aim for the actual defender. This one wasn't, and this one doesn't as well. So I'm gonna restart next round. So this is the only thing we need to tackle with every time we create some new system or invent something. We need to make sure that all works as expected. So sometimes there are just strange things happening. And yeah, bug fixing is the worst, let's say. So now it tells us Defender 1 is off. And why in the world? Even Defender 2 was off, that's okay. At least it was seeing that it is off, but it still did not continue going through the other ones and do a distance check to actually do a shoot. So the question is, why is it doing that, or why is it not doing anything? So there are just these two rockets, and I'm not performing any of them shoots when this first one is deactivated. So why is that? Maybe the keyword continue is wrong here. Let me pretty quickly check if that is the correct keyword. I wouldn't like to break out of the for loop, which would be the break. For loop continue. It should be continue. So we literally hop over into the next iteration. What does it do? It skips the iteration by doing continue. That's it. We are using a for loop, so it should be correct. Now, question is, what is if I do a break? It seems I break out of the complete loop, which is going to be literally like an exit. And I didn't want it to exit over here. I just wanted to say, skip over this defender and take the next one into this loop. Question is, why is it happening to the other ones? Or not for the first one, but all the other ones. Why it continues not as it should. So it says we can skip through a loop using the continue statement, but it seems it just doesn't continue working with that. Because it should use the next defender to see and to do the distance check and all that stuff. Oh, that's why. So the issue is if I is equal to 0, then we are going to literally not doing anything. Because I'm just checking for the first one. So basically this is wrong. I should say if the smallest distance is equal to 0. If the smallest distance is equal to 0, then I should do the dist check over there to be the smallest distance instead of using I, because that I was blocking the first parameter inside this loop. Because when this one here was 0 and this one is off, then everything else is blocked away. So that's what we don't want. We don't want to do this. We want to just go for the smallest distance to be checked and say, okay, if that is the first time we are checking for something and it is already or still 0, then we're gonna set any distance, so the closest distance, to be the one we are looking for. So meaning we want to make 100% sure that we don't get any issue with that. So the distance check still works, which is fine. Now I want to see if I can get this one being destroyed, like the first rocket being destroyed, or the first object, but it doesn't let me. So one of the defenders is now off, but I cannot shoot anymore because I need to restart and do a next round. Gonna shoot somewhere. And hope that one of the rockets is going to hit the defender in one of these iterations. Like this one is going to hit it. So now we should still be able to shoot. Just because we are checking for smallest distance and we don't really care about the rest. Pretty good. That's working fantastic now. Good. So this one is solved as well. I was having this issue quite some time now. I believe it was like since one of them videos, just because of the I equals 0 instead of using small distance equal to 0 for the first initial check. So we got at least any kind of a distance. And of course, if there's no one left, we just skip over everything. So it wasn't about the continue statement. It was about just a wrong check at this point. Nice. So we have the shop in place. We have a rebuildability in place. We got the coin system in place. So the only thing we not have right now is the ability to, let's say, stop a round when there's no building active anymore. Like we want to see if all of them are just, or literally all of them are destroyed. So we can stop the round like instantly. And we could do something like, I don't know, increasing the spawn time over rounds or something to make the game harder over time. So meaning we're gonna go and give it more rockets over time. So literally like a time-based increase of actions. And of course you can later on also put some extra enemies after like this and that amount of enemies and so on, or this and that amount of rounds have been played, and you know, implement even more stuff in there, like after round 10 make sure you create a UFO every now and then, and so on and so forth. But this is something everybody can do on its own, I guess, so once the system is up and running. So this one here can be, this is basically not used, but we need this function, so don't delete this. Shop system, the purchase was now complete, so we don't need this anymore. We now need to tackle how the spawner is going to handle all of the rest, I guess. So the spawner is going to create some rockets. Why is there a public keyword without anything connected to it? Was it now a public awake? I don't know. Pretty funny. Gonna save that. So, and here I have something like there are 10 things or 10 later 10 rockets to be spawned at the first place whenever the game starts, and this is basically continuing the whole time. And what we could do is, instead of waiting until all the rockets are done, we can stop the spawner after let's say a certain amount of time, or every time. Hi, E-Rolls, thanks a lot for tuning in. A blackjack game. Interesting. Let me put this on my list and just write it down. Blackjack. It seems that a bunch of people now are requesting card games in general, which is funny. Since, well, the Uno is still on my paper. I was doing this request, and a lot of people now want Uno, it seems, as well as any other kind of card games. So yeah, why not? I'm gonna see if I can put something like that together, but I need a card deck first. So I need to create a card deck for a SCART, or what is it, a poker card deck, for this to work correctly, I would say. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on my list. I have a bunch of card games now on this list, funnily. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look into it. What else? What did I wanted to do? Oh, I wanted... Oh, you tell me. It's a very simple game. Yeah, I know. It's like, you know, you are playing against the bank and trying to go up until number 2021 with the points. And then the bank is going to do the same thing. The idea behind this is pretty funny, as I like that. It's still something where you need to do some interactions and stuff like that. So it's how do you structure the card deck and stuff like that, right? So there's also somebody who was requesting Skip-Bo, which is literally the same thing, or basically the same game type as Bridge. Probably know that, maybe not. So I was thinking about that as well. So there are a bunch of card games I can take a look into, and probably I find the time to do this. I try my best. Since I'm still also working on all the other ones, there are a bunch of things I currently have in the pipeline. But I want to finish this one for now. So this is actually a purchasable product on my website. So feel free to, you know, join up later if you want to play around with such a prototype like this one, and maybe extend it and make it beautiful and stuff like that, and so on. By the way, how do you like this idea about prototypes? Me creating prototypes and offer them for a small fee on my website later on. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below, or in the chat if, you know, the chat is still alive. So amount to spawn, I just said something like MBY. What did I mean by NBY? I don't know what I meant by NBY. Treated NBY level later. I believe it's by level later. So meaning I can tell in the wallet, for example, how much rounds I have played already, and based on that, I can use some kind of a spawn multiplier here as well and increase this number over level. For example, per each round, I'm gonna put in something like 5 more rockets per each level, so you have a bunch of stuff to do, and it's going to become more likely that you hit something. But a level is only be a level when you have survived. Like when when at least one building, for example, has survived, then I would call it a level. Something maybe like that. Fun part is also the shoot delay over here. I might go over and you know, make this one different. Like maybe it can be faster or can be set to be faster later on. So the spawner is basically somebody who is going to take care of the complete spawning in general. And I believe so, per round, I want to treat this number to be reset and reused and so on and so forth. So this is not necessary, but probably here, like start this round, I'm gonna start to spawn all of that, but beforehand I want to calculate what's the current level and how do we count a level. So this is something I don't really have an idea about. So once again, I could go for the wallet itself and say, okay, in the wallet I want to see what the current level is, and I just store this somewhere here. And basically, when I'm done with that. Why do I have a level list? I don't know. I believe I use that somewhere. Probably. Set level item plus equal level. Why do I have this level class here? Oh, I believe it's because for visualization. Where do I use this level? I have a level list. Level list. Probably I set this by hand actually. Okay, so I need this level class. So sometimes I just need to recap and see what I have done here. So what I can do is I don't know, create something like a current level. So basically using also a serialized field, so nobody can literally touch that. I can say int current level. We're gonna start this by level 1, and later on, the more levels we are going to play, we just increment this whenever a game is over or a round is over. So, and to do that, I need to talk to the actual game manager in the first place. Meaning, whenever a round has been ended, I might want to go and increase that one level to the wallet. And to access that, I need to do create a public accessor. So public void read current level, or no, update current level. Update current level. And so in here I just say current level ++. So I don't go back, I always go up. And I only do this, updating this level, when I have one around, like when I have at least one building left, for example. So when the round has been ended, I need to now know how much buildings are really left. And so I need to loop through all the buildings. So for each of them, I just need to check if at least one of them is not destroyed. So I need to go through all buildings .count. And now it's a fun fact. Since I made it so that the building does not have the is destroyed command, but the destroyer or the defender object only reads that, I might gonna go and implement this to be part of the defender or of the building completely as well. So instead of using the virtual void and override void, I might gonna go and put this here inside the inside here as well. So to do that, since I now need this, I'm gonna create a new serial. Oh, I don't need to have a serialized field about this. I just need to have a field. Oh wait, probably I'm gonna do. Oh no, I make it. Yeah, I make it just a bool. Bool is destroyed. And I know that I have this already, and usually I could also probably pump that information in here. So the building gets a destroyed parameter as well. So in this case, I could say is destroyed is equal to destroyed as well. The downside is the defender might have an issue with that, because it also has its own destroyed parameter. But what I can now do is, instead of using a virtual void here and using an override void over there, I'm gonna get some issues in a second. If I now say I save this, this is going to set the object to be destroyed. Now we see in the defender, it now says, hey, where's my override method, right? So if I just say I get rid of all of that stuff here and save this, the building shouldn't have any issue with that. And also the game manager now, which I need to take a look into in a sec, now got the issue probably to read if a building actually is destroyed. Where is it? No. Try shoot. So in here, the all defenders is destroyed, is not accessible because it is it's a private variable. So I need to create a getter or some public accessor. So public, I return a bool. Maybe I rename this one to be destroy building. Need to rename again. So I don't want to have any typos. Destroy building. And so these now get called destroy building true or false, which is fine. But now I need this is destroyed to be here. Is destroyed to return destroyed. So return is destroyed, like so. And now I can use the game manager here and call the function is destroyed, open close parentheses, and so it returns true or false. And the defender shouldn't have any issue with that as well. So because it's still a building. So every building now has the destroy building and the is destroyed here as well. And in the spawner, no, in the game manager, where I not go for shoot, but go for checking if the building or at least one building is not destroyed, then I can return a false or true. I'm gonna do it a bit different. I'm gonna go and create a void bool, or actually not a void, but a bool. And I'm gonna say check active buildings. And I wanna see when, meanwhile, loops through. It doesn't matter if I go forward or backward. So in here I can say if all buildings in square brackets I dot and now is not destroyed. If one of them objects is not destroyed, so it has a survivor, then I can return a true here. And so if at least one gets this is not destroyed, so we have at least one surviving object, then I'm gonna return, get out of the for loop and return a true, meaning we have a survivor. Otherwise, we want to return false. So whenever we come through all these buildings, we're gonna return a false. And now we can say if that is now giving us back a positive value, or actually a false, no, a true. So if check active buildings, if that returns true, that at least one building is true or is surviving, then we want to talk to the wallet and upgrade the level. So in that case, I'm gonna call the shop system.instance.myWallet dot update current level, and then we now know how much we got over there. What we now can actually go into the spawner whenever we start the new round. We can now activate this, so we can say the amount to spawn is now becoming the base amount. So we are starting at least with 10 base amount to spawn. I should have renamed this. So I'm gonna put this here. Let's see if it is somewhere else or giving an error. Doesn't look like it. Starts the coroutine, returns current spawn amount. Okay, awesome. So in this, the current inside, where did I made it? Current spawn amount? No, where do I reset it? Oh, here in start round. So the current spawn amount is now based on this base amount, and now I can do any calculation times or plus or something times the current level. So for example, I can say plus, and then per level I could say I'm gonna add 3 or 5 as being a multiplier, like a spawn amount multiplier. Int spawn multiplier is equal to, let's say 3, or maybe not. We can also per level we just add 1, like plus 1 that, but we can also say per level we want to add 3 more, like 2 by 3, 3 by 3, 4 by 3, which give us a bunch of more rockets over there. So sooner or later these rounds are going to be pretty heavy to handle, so you need to play multiple times to make this one better or heavier. So now we can say we want to read the current level, so we say shop system.instance.myWallet. I want to know the current level of my wallet level. This current level, I want to return this number. So in here I'm gonna create another public, and I want to return an integer and say read current level, and in here I just want to return current level, whatever the current level is. So every level it's going to be without the parentheses, without the level, or without touching this current level directly, I would say. This, by the way, doesn't even need to be a serialized field, but it is probably nicer to see, or maybe you can cheat and then, test things out. This is not what I wanted. So now I can say my wallet.read the current level, and now we can multiply that by our spawn multiplier. And now we have some kind of a formula. So we always start at the base spawn amount. If we want to, we can make them also serialized fields, so somebody is able to play around with these numbers. But do not do this with the current spawn amount, because this is calculated automatically. So I would just say put this anywhere where it has nothing to do with anything else. But basically it has something to do with the spawn, so maybe I keep it there. It's maybe a bit more likely to be visible. Like so. Save. So if wanted, we can do everything about spawning, putting a header here, just to make it more, let's say, readable. Header, open close parentheses, spawning. And then I can put another header, copy, paste. Well, this is also about spawning, but spawn delay, current spawn. Actually, it's about the rockets. I'm gonna put the header down below, like that. So it's also looking better, at least a bit, I guess, inside the inspector later on. So, and now I have a system which is automatically increasing its damage, like not the damage, but it is increasing all the rockets. The defenders are going to, oh, I need to go and get rid of the defense or debug lines over here. I don't need this anymore, like so. Control S, quick save. Gonna let the compiler run, and then I'm good to go. And this prototype should be pretty good so far, I guess. So we can now start the new round. And we should be able to shoot. And sometimes we may hit or may not. Okay, that was a bit too slow. Wanna not lose my defender, of course. And now taking a look into my wallet, which currently has current level 1, but now it got increased to be level 2. And so the next round is now, or should now give me way more points, or actually, yeah, way more rockets. So we can count them: 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here is number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, and 13. Oh, maybe this is 13, I don't know. We should see in total 16, I guess. And if there's at least one building left over here, we should be good to go. So now I'm at level 3, and this is now going to become really tough, especially if you have like not enough shooting power, let's say. So you need to upgrade soon, and pretty quickly actually. So otherwise this is going to be pretty heavy. So this is now a really dense game, I guess. So you can upgrade, you can buy content, you can shoot, buildings can repair themselves after a 1 minute playtime. I don't know about the reset over here, so if some reset is already running, I might need to go and protect that. Otherwise, maybe the rebuild is going to become too quick. Not quite sure yet. But we are still able to do some things here and there. We are able to shoot. Now, I lost those other 2. But I'm now in round 4. And once again, it becomes harder now over time because the amount of rockets is going to increase. And the next thing you can implement, for example, is when the current level is bigger than X or is equal to X, like is equal to, let's say, the current level is equal to 10. You can also do some special stages, like a super heavy rain or shower raining, rocket stuff, and so on and so forth. You can, implement several different scenarios and things and so on. So again, this should be more than enough to be a rather solid prototype over here. Now I want to see if my rockets or the enemy is going to destroy all my buildings before I do. I'm lucky, I guess, because also of this rebuilding ability. I have some coins now. I can upgrade all of them things now by 1. Pretty nice. The wallet understands that we are now at level 5. So I just play one more round and see. Or actually what I want to do is now I want to wait. I want to wait until all my buildings are completely down, because there are so many rockets falling down right now that it is possible that all of the buildings are getting destroyed, like one after another. And of course, every time this is going to happen, we want to see, of course, if no buildings are left, that we are directly go into the shop, if necessary, actually, because, well, when there are no rockets left, literally, we shouldn't have any issues with that, because we are still game over. Like for the moment, I shouldn't be able to shoot anywhere because, well, all my buildings, the defender objects have been destroyed. And this one here is the last one, which is going to destroy this object. And there we go. So I'm not quite sure if the round is over because all the buildings have been destroyed. But what we know is that it works. Now we got some stuff here and there rebuilt, of course, no problem at all. So when we can now go and upgrade accordingly. When we start the next round, of course, everything works. But what we can also see, the level has not been increased due as through the actual cap over there. So I'm gonna start with level 1 over here. Everything is nice and simple. I'm gonna get rid of all the upgrades. I gotta make sure I save that. And now I can export this one to be an actual, prototype. I hope you enjoyed this actual session of all these videos about creating a prototype over here. I'm gonna put this now on my website and bring down the link down below under each of them videos of this series. So if you want to purchase this one later on, feel free to go to my website and play around with that on your own. I hope you enjoyed the series. If so, thumb this video or the complete series up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And talk to you in one of the next sessions, well, where I might go and create another prototype about any kind of a game. If you want me to implement something else over here, of course, feel free to do a small request, as I would say, so I can update the prototype probably later on, also on my website if needed. But make sure you grab it beforehand. Have a good one. Thanks a lot.